Hi there. Apologies for being late.
Oh, no worries. Ooh.
Right. Okay. I'm here.
Your video is disabled, in case that is a surprise to you.
Let me just see if we can get that to work. There we go.
Well, hello. Are you still at the horse farm?
No, I'm in the UK at the moment.
Definitely not home. There's not enough monitors around you.
Yeah. We're traveling at the moment. So.
Well, I was hoping we were going to either talk about the mainframe doc or localization. But if it's just you and I, we can call it early. Try again next time.
Yeah. So I think there's probably a little bit that we can chat about on the localization stuff. Did you see my comment on the PR?
Oh, hang on. My computer
About,
rebooted and I do not have any of my CDF tabs open. One moment. History, restore previous session. There we
I have to say your hair is looking awesome at the moment.
go. Oh, it's actually faded a bit. Okay, where's my GitHub? GitHub. Oh, GitHub log me. All right, you were no doubt undoubtedly pointing out my silly mistakes.
Well, I may have the wrong understanding, but I think the EN in the path was intended to be English, and so
All right, hang on.
you don't need it under the Spanish translation.
Oh, I thought I fixed that.
I haven't looked today, so you may have done.
Here, hang on. Let me see. I noticed that it had done that it had. So I tried to fix it so that ES was leveled up, but maybe I did not. Where's the? Oh, come now. Where did my pull request go?
Let's see if I open here somewhere.
Why is it missing? Or did I merge it? Oh, I merged it on the branch. It's not a pull request anymore. Sorry. Okay, looking at the branch. Content. Yeah, so if you look at the branch, the L10N branch.
Yep, that's fixed now. Yeah,
it's fixed now. Yeah, it originally had done that, and that was weird. And I think I couldn't figure out whether that was like a weird Git localized thing or if I had done something bizarre in the config toml file. I am not a doc platform person, nor do I play one on TV. Let's see. But what it looks like when I was going through the documentation, what it looks like is that you have to set up the config, but then you have to set up basically a bunch of snippets in all the content that checking and then redirects into the right subdir. But that at that point, my eyes were starting to cross, so I stopped.
Yeah, so I think there's two pieces that are related but not necessarily both needed. So the one is that you have to tell it that there are locale versions available. So the the names of the folders, I think, are arbitrary, and you actually have to create a mapping in the config file to say, this, if the browser requests this language, use this folder hierarchy.
Content directory. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's not working at the moment. Because
Right.
I've just checked it and it's not picking up the Spanish version. So I guess we need to put that in. And then the other thing is that it has a mechanism for doing translation of stuff on the fly through substitution of lookup files. So where you're using things in say the footer file where we've got copyright and things like that, those get stored as syntax tokens in another config file.
Right. So
So
the string list, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it works very much like the Java localization used to work.
Yeah. So
but we're not using many of those substitutions, if any, at the moment.
no, I don't think we are. And so I was trying to figure out like what's the sort of the minimum to at least give us a framework where we could start having a look at the rendered localization pages, which I thought what I had done would enable, but apparently not. And that's where I was starting to dig in deeper to the documentation to figure out what I was missing. So still trying to dig through that. And then it looks like we've got other folks who might be able to help, though I suspect they're just going to focus on the translations, which is fine. And what was the other thing?
So I think we should be fairly close on.
I think so.
Getting that working.
I have to say, once I started really digging into the Get localized interface, it's like, oh, this is a pain in the ass. It was like it has some. Have you played with it at all? It has some kind of. Yeah. Okay. So let me save you some pain. So you local, like it does the first pass localization, then you go in file by file and review, and it's not obvious from these interface, but what you need to get to is that it's on the right hand side, on the localized side, each box starts out as a gray box. Your goal is to turn it white or turn it like not gray box, because that means that whatever you've done there has been accepted by the system, and then it will generate out a pull request into Git. But if you go in, you say, okay, yes, and you hit submit and it stays gray, it gives you no feedback as to why. So it took me the longest time to figure out that, oh, this actually isn't accepted yet. I would try to just create the pull request, and I'm like, you have to accept all of the translations. And I'm like, I did. So that was an hour of my life I'll never get back. It's a goofy tool. So, I'm happy to sit there and muddle through it where to create like a V1, but in the long run, I'm not sure it's going to be worth it. So anyway.
I had a similar fight yesterday with a form that I couldn't submit.
And it wouldn't tell you why. It would just say fix all the errors, but it wouldn't tell you what the errors were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I eventually worked out that what they'd done is they'd made the data entry fields effectively invisible because they had no outline and they were the same color as the background color. And then they'd put the labels underneath the fields rather than on top. So I had an off by one error on all of my data because I couldn't see the top field.
Oh my God. What was that for? I mean, what idiot. Anyway.
Apparently accessibility is still not a big thing in the industry right now.
Apparently not. Unless it can be solved by AI, right? That'll solve everything.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the other stuff was obviously the open mainframe stuff, where I think we're still waiting really for them to have a proposal ready, because we need something that's a bit more narrowed down to a white paper, or some specific actions that we can include within our documentation set.
Yeah, when I was going through it, I was like, I feel like it's referencing IBM kinds of things more than it's representing the open framework, just in like straight up like number of notations, which I think was the wrong. And it's not that the authors were all IBM employees, right? I mean, as far as I know, it's like a bunch of different people. So I just feel like kind of putting more of the theme on the open source framework, open source foundation is a win. And then I was also going to ask Fatih if he showed up, that because I think Fujitsu, last I knew, was one of our members, and they're also a mainframe company. So it'd be great if we could. I didn't want to just drop that in the comments, so maybe I'll just DM Fatih. It'd be great if we could get somebody from them to sign on as a co-author or something.
Yeah.
So I will do that now while I'm thinking about it. Good note to him. All right. Everything else going okay with you? Did you get to go horseback riding really fast? When I was a kid, at the same time that I had my horse, there was a neighbor. So we lived in horse country, a little town called, there's Ojai Valley, which is about an hour and a half north of Los Angeles. And we did not live in the fancy part, but there were a lot of like actors and business types who had homes in the valley. And something about the valley was special. Like most valleys are oriented north-south or east. Anyway, like Ojai Valley had this weird non-standard orientation from a geological perspective. And so because of that, there were like a ton of not just sort of the standard Judeo-Christian tradition churches, but all kinds of other mystical, spiritual. There's Krishnamurti, I think, had a temple. Like anyway, so Ohio is kind of a funky place. It was a mixture of like orange farmers and celebrities and mystics. Anyway, so there was our neighbor was the husband was part of one of these organizations, but he had some horses for his kids. But one of the horses they picked up was a retired racehorse. So the horse only knew how to go 2 speeds, slow and really, really, really fast. And so the kids the kids didn't feel comfortable riding it. So he would ask me to ride it a couple times a week. So it was a nice horse, right? But I basically have to kind of like hold him in until we got to a place where it was safe for him, and then just let him go. I had the most insane upper body strength because of that horse. Not the same. And of course, this was the 80s, so no helmets, no protective gear. Half the time I didn't even have a saddle when I rode. I just would jump on the horse.
people often ask me, whether the horses actually like doing this stuff, but it's like, well, often you can't stop them from doing it.
Yeah, I mean, not every horse likes doing everything, but the horses that like to run like to run. The horses that like to jump really like to jump.
Yeah, I had a friend with a warm blood stallion.
Oh,
Who was he was a champion show jumper, and she would let him out in the yard, put him in a school, and put up a set of 6-foot posts, and he would run around on his own and just jump the posts. And if he knocked a rail over, he would come over and bite you until you put it back up again for him, so you can go around again.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
So my horse,
Absolutely loved it.
He was actually a dressage champion. Well, champion, very small regional, but still, I mean, he was trained as a dressage horse. And it never occurred, and when I got him when I was 10, I had no business having this horse. At the time, I didn't know how to ride. We didn't know how to take care of a horse. With somebody we knew was moving to Hawaii, and they couldn't take him. They like, do you want him? So I learned, we boarded him so that I could learn how to ride and learn how to take care of him and all those things. But not once did we ever think, oh, maybe we should do dressage, because the natural progression, at least here, was, well, you do your hunt seat, your basic equitation, and then you jump. And he hated jumping. He did not like it at all. And the trainers would like, you're doing terrible. You're sitting wrong. You're landing wrong. You're not setting him up. And I'm like, I'm trying. And then they would get on him to try and show me. And then it would be terrible. And it never occurred to any of us, like, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing jumping with this horse. I should be doing dressage, but we don't do dressage in California, or at least we didn't in the 80s. So a pity. I will admit I have a complete nerd crush on what's her name, Charlotte Desjardins and Valero. I mean, I've and what's her friend's name, Eric something. Anyway, those two, it's like they produce these beautiful, world-class dressage horses, and I could just sit and watch them. I feel like, man, that's what I should have done. I should have done dressage.
I was always fascinated with dressage to music.
The music part was a little weird, but it's fun to watch. Yeah.
When it's done well, it's absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah. Oh man.
I saw Angie Rutherford, who was Mick Rutherford from Genesis, was his wife. She did some competition work to music, and that was just breathtakingly good.
Oh man. And those horses, I mean, I don't think people realize just how muscular they are in order to be able to do those moves. I mean, it takes years to build them up so that they can do that. And compare that to your average, family horse, and they look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Okay, well, I dropped this line to Fatih. I'm gonna go poke around some more when I get a chance, though I have to go down to my dad's funeral this weekend, so I probably won't do it this weekend, but hopefully we'll get this going. Yeah, maybe we'll get the mainframe dock up in the coming days. So good luck with your traveling. I hope you have fun. I hope it's not for something stupid like immigration status, because if it is, Godspeed.
All right, I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
All right, cheers.